Hello learners, welcome to ERID Academy. My name is Larry Oguntoye and this is the learning experience. Remember to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, ERID Online Academy, and on Facebook, the learning experience. In this video, we are required to write the formula of sodium thiocarbonate for salt. To tackle a question like this, the first thing you have to do is to determine or identify the kind of substance that the thiocarbonate for salt is. Thiocarbonate for salt is an ionic compound. And ionic compounds have two parts. They have the cation part, that is the positively charged ion component, and the anion part, which is the negatively charged component. So the next thing to do is to determine what part of the thiocarbonate for salt is the positively charged part. Now the positively charged part of this salt is the metallic ion, and of course the metal in the salt is the sodium ion. So the positive charge there is sodium ion, while the negatively charged part of this salt will be the carbonate ion. Good. Having identified the ions present in this salt, the next thing is try to write the correct formula for each of the ions. So the correct formula for sodium ion is Na+1, and the correct formula for the carbonate ion is CO3 2-. Now you may ask, how do I know the charge that this particular ion will carry? For example, sodium ion. Why not Na2+ or Na3+ or Na4+? How do I identify the charge it will carry? You need to cast your mind back to the periodic table. Let's look at this simple chart that will help you to summarize effectively the periodic table. Elements in group 1. Look at the chart. Elements in group 1 will carry a charge of +1. Elements in group 2, when they form ion, will carry a charge of +2. Elements in group 3, when they form ion, carry a charge of +3. Elements in group 5, on the other hand, carry a charge of -3, group 6 -2, and group 7 -1. If you look at these elements from group 1 to group 3 are metals, and metals usually lose electron. So the charge, which is the valency, signifies the amount of electrons that the metallic ion or the metal will lose in order to form positive ion. So elements in group 1 will lose 1 electron. That's the electron in their outermost shell to form an ion with a charge of +1. And the same thing applies to other elements in the other groups. Okay, so we have found out that sodium carries a charge of +1 simply because sodium is in group 1 and is going to lose the only electron in its outermost shell to form a singly charged positive ion. Go back to our calculation. Here, sodium carries a charge of what? +1, because it has to lose what? Electrons. So invariably, we have just sodium plus. Now the carbonate ion. If you look at carbonate contain two different types of what element? Carbon and what? And oxygen. So this is a group of atoms. Definitely we cannot find carbonate ion in the periodic table. So this kind of chart will not be useful to identify the ions or the charge that carbonate ion will carry. So how do you go about that? At this level, you will need to get familiar with the charges of certain what? Ions or certain complex ions like carbonate, phosphate, nitrate, sulfate, sulfite, nitrite ion. When you are familiar with the ions, you'll be able to recall the charges that this ion will carry. This should help you to recall the formula of this complex ion, from nitrate to sulfate to carbonate to phosphate to phosphite and many more. So back to the question. Now that we have found out that the formula of sodium ion is Na+, and the formula of carbonate ion is CO3 2 minus with substantial reasons. So let's now write the formula of sodium thiocarbonate for salt. So if I have this, the next thing to do is you need to switch the charge. Switch the charge. +1 here goes to the carbonate and 2 comes to what? To the sodium. So you have Na2CO3 bracket 1. Now because this is 1, okay, you need not write 1. It is unitary, so you can cancel 1. I wrote it this way so that you'll be able to identify if this was 2, that 2 will come here. So since it is 1, your final answer is NaCO3. That is the final answer for the formula of sodium thiocarbonate for salt. It is pretty, simple. Do not forget, subscribe to my channel, Arid Online Academy, on YouTube and on Facebook, The Learning Experience. Until I come your way again, keep learning.